Hey guys, welcome to the Dookie Digest. Coming at you today talking a little bit about the boots I picked up, the Hush Puppies, how the situation seemed a little bit serendipitous to me, and yeah, just kind of how everything came together to get me the right pair of shoes for the job of dog walking. So, let's just step into it, guys. I've been dealing with wet feet walking the dogs ever since it got into the wet season here. British Columbia, Canada starts about the end of August and goes right up until about March. Usually starts to dry off a bit. And been wearing my Helly Hansen work boots. They did great, but the waterproofing has worn through on them, so I've had wet feet the whole time. I've also been using the boots I got, the Merrell's. I guess they're hiking shoes more so than boots, which do quite well, but they have the mesh outer liner and they only hold up to the wetness for, I don't know, about an hour before they soak through. So I never make it more than one walk in a day with dry feet for the last 6 months, which that means I have a little bit of some of the notorious athlete's foot starting, along with some sores that I am trying to heal. So, getting into this, walking into the store, I had been going around. I went to Walmart, went to Mark's, I went to Canadian Tire. Of all places, there really wasn't anything there. It ended up being a Mark's inside Canadian Tire. So I went to Mark's twice. But I hunted around, did some searching online, trying to find a good pair of shoes for reasonably priced. The best I could find was about $100. And then going and looking at all the options, none of them really looked like they would hold up. They all have seams that are gonna fail on them, as well as various different areas where water could leak in, which is the biggest issue right now. I'm just like, I don't care what's on my feet, or even if my feet are warm, as long as they dry. If it keeps my feet dry, that's all I care about. So walked into the shoe warehouse and was hunting around. They got their aisles set up. There's the till on the left, and then they got their women's aisles. And then on the far right, they got their men's aisles all lined up. At the back, they got their kids' aisles. And then in the far corner, far at the left, back is where they have their discount section. So when I walk in, usually I'll go straight back to the discount section and kind of check it out. And today I was like, well, let's see what they got for new first and go hunt through all the boots. And I find one pair that seems like I might be interested in it, but they don't have my size. And as I'm looking around to see if there's any boots of my size that are similar, I look through the shelf and I happen to see the dog head for Hush Puppies. The face, the eyes caught my attention. You know how on the box they got the box, and then they got the big eyes, right? The big eyes on the one side that kind of poke out. And the eyes caught my attention all the way across the store. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go check out the discount section. So I walked over to the discount section, and the only thing in my size was the Hush Puppy boots. They had sizes bigger, sizes smaller, and I'm speaking about boots in the section, right? But the only thing in my size was the Hush Puppy boots. They had one pair of looked like Michael Jordan sneakers. They had a pair of slip-on something or others, and then they had the Hush Puppies. And I was like, well, I guess I'll try them. Blue, not really my color choice. Probably would have tried to go for either a bright yellow or a black boot, but put it on my foot and I was immediately surprised. It was like a sucked onto my foot. I was like, oh my God, that felt awesome. First step. Oh, super cushiony. I was like, okay, get the second boot on there. And sucked right on there. I was like, that is crazy. And that's what really sold me, is just how they like sucked onto my feet. Oh, let me grab the boots here. Oh, these are the Hush Puppies. They are basically a one-piece kind of boot, short little style. And this here is neoprene that runs on the inside with a rubber that's on the outside. And you can feel the neoprene goes all the way down to the sole. Now, my first week walking with these, it was -10 here in Canada. And I was impressed with how warm my feet stayed. Yeah, obviously, as soon as they got damp from sweating, they would get a chill and be cold but other than the actual sweat causing the chill, my feet were staying warm in those boots with just some regular woolly socks. And then continuing on, I walked through ice and slush, and they did really, really well on the ice and slush, even though they have very kind of crappy traction, right? There's really not much there, but they did really well on the ice and the slush. I'm finding that the one place that they fall short is in the mud. So they have basically no traction. It's just like walking on a slippy surface. The only benefit is they don't pick up the mud, so they don't get heavier like you would experience with your typical boots. Anything that's got like a work boot traction on there, as soon as you step in the big gooey mud, it'll pick everything up, and then you're walking with big, heavy, muddy, slippy things. And once you get off the slippy surface, you're still slipping because the mud is stuck on the bottom of the boot. Whereas with these, almost immediately as you transition off of the mud, you regain your traction because it's not picking the mud up on the bottom of it. Now back to the story. I was so amazed with how they suctioned onto my feet that I didn't look at the price. I didn't even look around to see if there's anything else. I put my shoes into the box, walked straight to the till, and had the discussion with the lady. I'm not taking them off my feet. You can check to see that this is the item that belongs in that box. She made me take them off my feet, look in the inside to make sure they're the right size and they match, that kind of jazz, and then allowed me to put them back on my feet. And that was it. I was like, I am so sold. Happiest person I could have been walking out of that store. It was so serendipitous that across the store, the box caught my eye that like, while I'm walking out, I'm like, this was meant to be. There was just something about it that I was like, this was meant to be. And even now, when I'm thinking about, okay, what do I think about this purchase? I am so impressed. I am trying to figure out if I can get my next pair of boots lined up before these ones wear out, because I bet you anything, in the amount of walking I do this year, I'm going to wear these ones out, and then I'm going to need another pair for next year. So I better get ahead of that now. Well, there you have it. My Hush Puppies. Quite impressed with them. I remember as a kid wanting a pair of Hush Puppies. It was kind of like a trendy thing at the time. I think they were more like the big galoshes, and yeah, I've kind of always had a thing for rubber boots. I've always liked them, but I've never found a pair that I really enjoyed. And I think if I could find a pair of these neoprene inside, rubber outside that are, higher than the ankle, I would be very impressed with them. So I'm considering hunting for that one next. Most definitely going to hunt for another pair of these Hush Puppies because I don't think I could get a better shoe. As a baker, I used several types of shoes similar to this. One was a Wind River brand and nowhere near as comfortable, and only lasted about 2 to 3 months in the bakery environment, which is the reason why I refused to get them for dog walking. I knew they would wear out right away. But I feel that these ones have a little bit better of a seal, the way it's designed, and it has the Converse wraparound rubber. So it I feel like it's going to have that same durability that the Converse style shoe does, where usually the Converse sole will wear out before anything separates. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in to the Dookie Digest, where I give you my opinion, no matter how much BS it might be. Today, just the happiness of getting a good pair of boots as a dog walker. Couldn't believe how excited I was and how it worked out, and kind of how excited I still am about a pair of shoes. Much love.